primary use cases for R2 center on customers, regulators, and risk-driven requirements. Many large enterprises or public sector entities demand R2 from their suppliers to minimize third-party exposure. Regulators recognize it as a reliable demonstration of compliance alignment across frameworks, including HIPAA, NIST, and ISO 2700. Internally, risk officers may pursue R2 when they need defensible assurance that controls are not only designed but proven. For example, a healthcare cloud provider serving multiple hospitals might need R2 to satisfy contractual data protection obligations. In such cases, the certification becomes a market enabler, not just a compliance checkbox. It signals maturity to external stakeholders and discipline to internal teams managing risk.
Read aloud this text in US accent. Tailoring and scoping form the foundation of every R2 journey. Because R2 is highly flexible, organizations define what systems, business units, and data flows are included within the boundary. Tailoring adjusts the control set based on specific risks, operational complexity, and regulatory drivers. This means no two R2 assessments are identical. Each reflects a unique blend of requirements derived from the HITRUST CSF. The scoping process ensures that critical assets, such as production environments or regulated data stores, are included, while non-essential systems may be excluded for focus. Proper scoping prevents wasted effort and ensures that the assessment outcome accurately represents the organization's security posture, not an artificially narrow slice of it.
Understanding organizational and system factors is essential because they shape the entire R2 control set. HITRUST uses these factors to determine which requirements apply. Organizational factors include size, sector, and regulatory footprint. System factors involve architecture type, hosting environment, and data sensitivity. For instance, an organization hosting protected health information in a cloud infrastructure faces different expectations than one managing internal networks only. By carefully documenting these factors, organizations ensure the right controls are assessed and the results remain relevant. This process anchors the assessment in reality, balancing rigor with appropriateness. Ignoring these foundations risks under- or overscoping, leading to inefficiency or gaps in assurance. Control selection within R2 reflects both precision and responsibility. The framework tailors hundreds of potential controls into a targeted set based on the documented factors. Each selected control carries an implication. It must be implemented, evidenced, and maintained over time. This selection process turns the abstract idea of compliance into a living inventory of obligations. For example, if multi-factor authentication, encryption, and audit logging are selected controls, each must be proven through specific artifacts. Understanding why each control was selected helps teams prepare evidence that directly demonstrates operational effectiveness. In R2, controls are not optional checkboxes. They are commitments to continuous performance under observation. PRISMA strategy and target thresholds define how maturity is measured across the R2 control set. PRISMA, the process, risk, and information security maturity model, rates each control across multiple dimensions such as policy, implementation, measurement, and management. Establishing strategy early helps determine acceptable thresholds for certification. For example, management might decide that all critical controls must achieve a score of 3 or higher, showing not just implementation but ongoing measurement. This strategy influences documentation depth, internal testing, and evidence quality. It also provides a roadmap for improvement between cycles, encouraging steady progress rather than last-minute fixes. PRISMA turns abstract compliance into measurable maturity progression. Sampling rigor and design choices distinguish R2 assessments from simpler assurance models. Instead of reviewing one example per control, R2 requires statistically or judgmentally valid samples across time and systems. This verifies consistency rather than one-time success. Sampling design defines how many records, systems, or periods will be tested to confirm control reliability. For instance, a control requiring monthly access reviews might be tested across multiple months and departments. A well-designed sampling plan builds confidence that results represent the broader environment. While it demands more work, it also provides greater assurance, demonstrating to stakeholders that tested controls perform reliably under varied conditions.
Evidence depth in R2 is determined by control type and assessed risk. Some controls may require policy documentation, others technical logs, screenshots, or transaction records. The key distinction is depth. Auditors must see that the control is not only implemented but sustained. For example, an incident response plan must include not just the policy, but evidence of drills, lessons learned, and improvement cycles. Operational controls demand ongoing data to show that performance remains stable. Understanding the required depth prevents frustration later in the assessment. Preparing layered evidence, policy, procedure, proof ensures that each control stands on its own merit and can survive independent verification without excessive clarification.
Inheritance boundaries and provider proofs define how shared responsibility is handled in R2. Many organizations rely on cloud providers or managed service partners for parts of their control environment. Inheritance allows an organization to reuse verified evidence from those providers where applicable, reducing redundancy. However, clear boundaries must be documented to show where inherited responsibility ends and internal responsibility begins. For instance, encryption at rest might be inherited from a cloud provider, but key management may remain in-house. Provider proofs, such as SOC 2 or FedRAMP reports, support this process. When managed properly, inheritance streamlines the assessment while maintaining the precision and accountability that R2 demands. Assessor expectations and engagement play a decisive role in R2 success. Assessors do not simply check boxes. They evaluate the sufficiency, consistency, and quality of each control's evidence. Early collaboration with assessors helps clarify scope, sampling methods, and documentation standards before submission. Throughout the engagement, communication and transparency are vital. If an assessor identifies a gap, addressing it promptly prevents delays later. The best outcomes occur when organizations view assessors as partners in assurance rather than adversaries in inspection. This relationship transforms the process from reactive defense into guided improvement, reinforcing both trust and outcome quality. Quality assurance reviews and rework loops are part of what makes R2 so reliable. After the assessor's work is complete, HITRUST performs its own review to confirm consistency with framework standards. If discrepancies or unclear evidence are found, rework is required before certification can proceed. This multi-stage review prevents weak submissions from slipping through and ensures every issued certification meets the same quality bar. While this step adds time, it also adds confidence. The organization can trust that once certification is awarded, it reflects genuine compliance, not an interpretation or shortcut. QA reviews thus reinforce the credibility that makes R2 the gold standard of assurance. Timeline, costs, and resources for R2 are significantly greater than for I1, reflecting the depth and verification involved. A full cycle may take several months, depending on scope complexity and evidence readiness. Costs include assessor fees, internal labor, and potential remediation work discovered along the way. Resources must include project management, control owners, and subject matter experts available for interviews or documentation support. Successful programs budget both money and time for these needs. Rushing the process usually increases rework, while steady, planned pacing ensures efficiency. Treating R2 as an ongoing investment rather than a one-time project helps organizations maintain compliance and readiness well beyond certification day. Deliverables for R2 include detailed letters, reports, and listings that communicate results to stakeholders. The certification letter verifies status and scope, while the validated assessment report provides control-level results. Listings on the HITRUST Assurance Intelligence Engine make achievements publicly verifiable. These outputs serve as both compliance artifacts and business assets, helping organizations demonstrate their security posture to customers, regulators, and partners. Preparing these deliverables with clarity and precision ensures that the organization's hard work translates into lasting credibility. They also form the baseline for future renewals, reducing effort when the next assessment cycle begins. Readiness and commitment define success in R2. More than any checklist, R2 measures an organization's ability to operate with integrity, discipline, and continuous improvement. It requires planning, transparency, and the willingness to face detailed scrutiny. The reward is trust, earned through demonstration, not declaration. Organizations that complete R2 emerge with a deeper understanding of their systems, stronger operational alignment, and renewed confidence in their resilience. Readiness for R2 is not a finish line, but a sustained posture of excellence, signaling to every stakeholder that security and compliance are woven into the fabric of how the organization works, evolves, and protects.